No wonder customer retention and hyper-personalization is the soul of any business. Today, at the Rise with Retention Roadshow Delhi chapter, as co-organized by ET Brand Equity and CleverTap, we will deep dive into customer journeys and how brands can create customized solutions to retain them. We are also glad to host our esteemed speakers who will share their big leap stories and shed light on the future of MarTech, bringing the tech back to MarTech, which is also the theme of today. Before I move on, I would like you to catch up the live updates through our social official handles. Can we show the official handles? So the official social media hashtag is the hashtag The Big Leap and hashtag Retain the Gain. Catch the live updates on @ET Brand Equity and CleverTap Official. To set the tone of today's event and uncover what's shaping the MarTech landscape, I would like to invite on stage Lucky Grover, Vice President Payment Business Paytm, for a featured session on the future of MarTech, bringing the tech back to MarTech. Lucky has worked in Paytm across customer lifecycle management and merchant lifecycle management, focusing primarily on retention and engagement. He has rich banking and financial service industry experience in India and abroad with respect to growth and customer experience management.
A very good evening to all of you. Very warm welcome to this discussion on future of MarTech. And a big thanks to ET Brand Equity and CleverTap for bringing us all together and having this engaging discussion. We look forward to our esteemed panelists who will be discussing on how MarTech can help in retention, engagement, and growth of our respective products that we are building at our respective companies. This presentation is just to introduce you to some talking points on what are the things that goes on in a daily life of a growth manager or a marketing manager, and how MarTech can help these people achieve their growth targets and marketing targets. Cool. So basically, MarTech is nothing but bringing technology back to marketing. What we see in most of our daily lives in our respective organizations is, although we do marketing, but the role of technology in marketing is still very nascent. Everybody wants to have a very nice looking funnel, huge top of the funnel. They want more and more users to land into their respective applications, respective landing pages. They want a very intuitive middle of the funnel. People should be able to navigate their way out of whatever you are trying to sell them. It has to be robust, which means there will be fewer drop points. And they want very quick end of the funnel. You want people who have started their journey to end their journey very quickly. And therefore you hear words like, we are retargeting people, retargeting 1 week old users, retargeting 3 months old user, retargeting 1 year old users. The fact that people are lying in the funnel for 1 year itself speaks about how slow the end of the funnel generally works. And ultimately, when they buy the product, it's about retention and cross-sell. You want to retain them on their platform, engage them so that they come to your application again and again, and you want to cross-sell new monetizable products to them. The problem really lies in the roles attributable to these stages of the funnel. The top of the funnel, generally the CEO or the business officer, gets hold of the marketing manager. And they are after their lives that why is our top of the funnel so weak? In the middle of the funnel or the end of the funnel, unfortunately, not with every organization obviously, but most of the organizations, marketing managers pull back. It's considered as the problem of product managers and technology engineers to build middle of the funnel, end of the funnel, and forget about retention and cross-sell. Nobody bothers about them. So basically, there is very little technology that goes into each of these parts. So how does the marketeer approach the problem of top of the funnel? They will never look at the end of the funnel. All they're bothered about is top of the funnel. how many people have come to the funnel. And therefore, these screenshots that you see are very recent screenshots. I just took them last week only. They still use words like, you have 19 missed calls, you have 500 emails, with the hope that you will just read this, get alarmed, and click on it. Their job is finished. Why do they say it is working? Because it is reflected in CTR. They are not utilizing technology to look at the conversion funnel. The CTR is good, you get 2% plus CTRs. Such messages get, by the way, on Paytm at least we have seen, such messages get in excess of, so generally app push notifications get 1.5%, 2% CTRs. Such messages generally get 2.5%, 3% CTR. Everything looks very nice, people are engaging in it, whereas you are scaring them. Probably they will never complete the problem, the funnel, because they will get irritated. You just messed us up. You just gave a false alarm. And therefore, marketeers generally think about clickbaity messages. They rarely look at the conversion funnels that are going around. In the middle of the funnel and end of the funnel, and there's the cartoon right there, and that's the buzzword that everybody uses. Can we have more intelligence? Can we build good forest models and machine learning models to make sure where are people clicking in the middle of the funnel? In fact, one of the people once said, the best minds of our age are working towards reducing one screen or reducing few clicks from the middle of the funnel. Whereas middle of the funnel is again a marketing problem, it's a technology problem combined. What you promised in your notification is the user seeing that during the middle of the funnel. If you promise that you're going to get, let's say, a 20 rupee cashback, if you use this product, is this 20 rupee cashback messages reflected in the funnel, in the middle of the funnel and end of the funnel or not? There's a lot of, these days we don't work on single products. Each of you come from organizations which typically has 3 or 4 products. Each of these products has a separate onboarding journey. We rarely cross-use data of one onboarding journey in another onboarding journey. So for example, if you are selling insurance and you have gathered his Aadhaar number as part of KYC process, are you able to use the Aadhaar card in your lending journey? Because again, there's the problem of marketing technology and data that is there. Therefore, marketing technology and your data has to come together to solve middle of the problem and middle of the funnel problems and end of the funnel problems. When it comes to retention and cross-sell, most of the organizations act when the customer has churned away. And therefore, most of your cohorts, when you look at new users and you look at dormant users. And in dormant users also, you define dormant users as somebody who has become dormant for more than 3 months. Because they're still, in the eyes of a growth manager, they still think if it's not 3 months dormant, they can somehow magically come back and re-engage with your application. Whereas churn rarely starts at 3 months. In fact, the latest thought in this domain is you have to predict probable churn. Customers who were doing 15 transactions, if now they are doing only 5 or 6 transactions, you have a churn problem. You don't have to wait for him to go to 0 and then wait 3 months more to act. You need to act then and there. And therefore, what happens generally is people use these buzzwords. We need higher marketing budgets because our funnel is not growing. Where do you need higher marketing budgets? Because the CAC to acquire a new user is in practice at least 6 to 7 times higher than the cost to retain customers. You dole a lot of cashbacks in acquiring customers, but you rarely think about arresting the probable churn that is happening. And therefore, again, people rarely resort to technology to figure out what is happening with retention and cross-sell. So where does MarTech come into picture in solving our marketing funnel problems? It's basically a simple problem in the funnel. Who do you pitch what, and when do you pitch, and where do you pitch? These are the basic questions that everybody needs answer to. Technology plays a huge role in answering these questions. So this is just a graph that I took from CleverTap website. It's the evolution of MarTech, right from 1980s to 2020s. Most of the organization, unfortunately, are still stuck somewhere in 2000 to 2010s. It's batch marketing process. You schedule campaigns, almost once a week campaign, twice a week campaigns, once a month campaigns, twice a month campaigns. These are batch processes. In fact, you don't even care to look at data real time. These days, technology allows you to look at data within 10 minutes of the campaign going live. But what happens in reality in most of the organization is there is a separate operations team which is creating the campaign, and there is a separate business analysis team or the BA team which is analyzing the data. And generally, there is a 2 to 3 day gap between what happens. So this is batch process that we are living in. Whereas what has happened recently is there has been the proliferation of data. Cloud is the thing that everybody talks about. In fact, anywhere, any product suite that you take, you were talking about CleverTap, you're doing SMSs, emails, WhatsApp, whatever you think about it. Cloud is the way that each of these channels are going towards. In fact, WhatsApp recently announced their plans to launch their cloud API for free. So basically, what we are right now doing is we are in an era of digital meaningful relationship. We are living in an era where events are in billions and trillions, and capturing the right events in the life of the customer and linking in with other events which are happening forms the bedrock of solving who to pitch what and when and where. So if a customer comes on Paytm and he has just bought a flight ticket, why would I not want to use this event to cross-sell him a flight insurance? If a customer has entered the vicinity of Ambience Mall and there is a big outlet of Zara in Ambience Mall, why would I not want to pitch him deals which are going on in Zara Mall? This is what we talk about, digital meaningful relationships. And these events are available real time for you to exploit and give suitable, meaningful marketing use cases to your customers. So what are the typical tools? And some of these tools we will cover in the talks when our panelists discuss about the role of MarTech. When you're thinking about who to target, the most important tool that everybody talks about is RFM. You obviously want to focus on people who do transactions frequently, high monetizable transactions, and who come on your app recently. But you also want to focus on people who are probably going to churn. And your messaging strategy has to be different for each of these segments. Most of the organizations, and when I generalize, because Paytm is a aggregation of many small organizations, we have a money vertical, an insurance vertical, a payments vertical, a flights vertical, a deals vertical. These are all small organizations. Whichever organization I go to, they have created very nice looking journeys. You'll see, oh my God, what rocket science are they deploying? Multiple nodes in the journey, so nice timing of the journeys. They're targeting once a week, twice a week. You open these nodes and you will find the same communication everywhere. Almost the same communication. And then you start pondering what's the point of journeys when you are actually pitching the same communication to everybody. So RFM segmentation, and basically deciding relevant messaging for each segment is going to be an important topic in MarTech. Gone are the days when you had to wait for 3 days or 4 days for some business analyst to look at your transaction data and come up with an RFM. You can generate it in minutes. And how to utilize it then would define the success of your marketing campaigns. These are little advanced concepts, which are lookalikes and propensity. If a customer is frequent and high monetizable, are there other customers in your app universe who look alike to this customer? And here's where a little bit of machine learning comes into picture. Not a difficult science. It used to be difficult 5-6 years before, when we didn't have these sophisticated cloud technology to analyze data, to calculate what are these lookalikes. But nowadays, these models you'll be able to build yourselves actually. And propensity, right? Propensity, how likelihood is for a user to buy your product. Lookalikes is something that we use in Paytm a lot. if a customer is in Delhi using an iPhone and doing flights from his iPhone, are there other customers in Delhi using iPhones? Most likely they'll book a flight. And therefore, lookalike forms a very core strategy about who to cross-sell what. When you talk about what to show, we rarely invest our time, and when we say time, because technology is there. In fact, the topic of this thing is bringing technology back to MarTech. MarTech exists, technology exists, but do you have time to spare to run experiments? Do you have time to spare to look at the results of these experiments? Conversion funnels, absolute basic, everybody should be looking at it, right from the CTRs to the filling of the form or middle of the funnel, and finally taking up the product. And when you're doing experiments, you should measure TGCG uplifts. The campaign that you run might be giving you a conversion of 12%. You'll be very happy. Oh, my experiment is very nice. But what if without running this communication, you're getting a 10% conversion? You're only getting a 2% uplift. It's not about increasing the absolute conversion rates, but can you increase the delta? And finally, you have flows. When I say flows, it's about attribution. You are sending push messages, emails, SMSs, WhatsApp, on-app communication, notifications and all. Can you figure out which channel works best for you? What is the flow through which the customer is entering the funnel? Was he browsing something else, and there you showed a banner which caught his interest and came to your funnel? It could be a very good insight on where to focus on. In Paytm, for example, we say the best place to pitch products are post-transaction screens. Because when you come on the app, you're in a hurry to do transaction. But when you're done your post-transaction screen, you are waiting for that slider to complete, for the payment successful message to come, and you are actually showing that post-transaction screen to the merchant also. So the banner that you put there, if it is prominent enough, it's not only helping you, but it's also helping the merchant to think about what products are in popular demand. So flows are very important. Attributions are very important. The algorithm that you use for attribution is very important, whether you're doing first click attribution or last click attribution. It can actually make or break your communication strategy. If most of your customers are coming from a banner communications and all your efforts are focused on push notifications, you are rarely going to see results. And finally, life cycle. Life cycle is a term which is loosely thrown, but at Paytm we generally say whether he's a new user, he's an upsell user, he's a probable churn user, or he's a churn user. If he's an upsell user, it's the right time to pitch other products to the user. If he's a new user, why would you pitch anything other than payments? He has not adopted your core product yet. So analyzing life cycle is also very important. Again, technology is available. All you need to do is spare your time to look at what the technology is throwing at you, get meaningful insights and act on them. You will have wonderful looking dashboards. We have, at Paytm we joke, the easily available thing to all the growth managers and marketing managers is a MIS. But do people look at MIS? I haven't seen anybody greatly studying the MIS to the depth that they should do. Finally, when is about, are you using events? There are billions of events that you throw in the cloud for calculating what the user is doing at relevant point of time. But can you correlate events? An example that I just told you, he's booking a flight. Would you want to pitch him flight insurance? He just paid at a Zara store. Can you pitch him a nearby deal at social? Probably he has bought clothes, he'll go to social and have some drinks. Can you do that meaningful insights? Events are a great tool to leverage that. Time of the day is very important. What time are you sending notifications? If a person is going to office in the morning and you tell him you have to file your tax returns, he would rarely take recall of that messages. But on a Sunday afternoon, if you send this message, it's a wonderful message. So CTRs also vary on time of the day. Again, technology is available. In fact, in CleverTab, technology is so advanced that you can actually let CleverTab decide what is the best time of the day. You have to select the option and it sends the push at the right time of the day. Attributions I just spoke about. How do you attribute your channel? Which channel is yielding maximum results to you? So this is what we are all here to discuss about, how technology can help you build better marketing campaigns. I would encourage each one of you to take relevant examples from your organizations and grill our panelists on these problems. I hope we will get to learn from their wisdom. Again, thanks a lot for hearing me out. We just wait for our esteemed panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucky, for setting the flow and for such an insightful session. I'm sure we have a lot to take back today. For every interaction to be timely and relevant to the user's context, behavioral data plays a critical role. The more data you have on your users and their behaviors, the more relevant your user engagement campaigns become. Thus, making unlimited user data affordable, available, and accessible in real time is becoming the key for marketeers. To plan out the type of campaigns that turn new users into loyal superfans. More importantly, it brings your campaigns away from generic spam territory into an area where your brand can build a meaningful digital relationship that's a win-win for both your company and your customers. With that, join me in welcoming our esteemed panel as they share key insights on the future of MarTech, bringing the tech back to MarTech. Give a big round of applause for our speakers. I would like to invite on stage Amit Kumar Singh, Business Head and Product Head, Commercial Real Estate, Info Edge India Limited, 99acres.com. Amit has over 2 decades of diverse industry experience. He's passionate about emerging tech and its applications in making life easier for consumers. I would now like to invite Lokendra Saini, COO Ease My Trip. Lokendra is a seasoned travel professional with over 18 years of experience working across companies such as Make My Trip, Go Ivibo, Ixigo, and now EaseMyTrip.com. I would now like to invite Charu Kishnani, Executive Vice President Marketing, Girnar Software Private Limited, Kar Dekho. Charu comes with a demonstrated history of working in the automotive industry. Her core strengths include building brands with innovation, creativity, and ensuring good customer experience, among others. Give a big round of applause for Charu, Lokendra, and Amit. I would now like to invite Ajitesh Kaikar, founding team member Eka Care. Ajitesh is one of the founding team members at Eka Care, leading the patient side app to enable India to manage and track vitals and medical records. I would now like to invite Somesh Surana, Head Digital Business Group, HDFC Ergo, General Insurance. Over the last decade, Somesh has consistently demonstrated successful leadership in developing and scaling up business through various digital sales channels and is extremely passionate about scaling up profitable digital business. I would now like to invite Vikrant Chaudhary, Chief Growth Officer, CleverTap. Vikrant is responsible for leading the company's marketing and sales team and its integrated go-to-market strategy globally across all commercials and enterprise segments. He has a track record of over 2 decades of building high-performance teams. Lastly, I would like to welcome Ashwini Gangal, editorial consultant. Ashwini is a Mumbai-based journalist and editorial consultant who has been covering the Indian advertising, media, and marketing space for over 12 years. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here. So, Ashwini, I just pass it to you, so you can just go ahead.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Warm welcome. Hi, panel. Officially warm welcome. Thank you, ET Brand Equity, for inviting me to moderate this session. I have with me a stellar panel. Now, over the next hour or so, we're going to deconstruct the topic for the evening, which is the future of MarTech, bringing the tech back to MarTech. But before I get down to my list of questions, including those around how MarTech has taken the big leap over the last few years, I just want to lay down some context. Okay, so I'll quote somebody. There's a gentleman called Scott Brinker. Now, he's the godfather of MarTech. He said, and I quote, "We're living in the age of the augmented marketer." The augmented marketer is one who has the power of technology to fuel his or her marketing efforts and marketing campaigns. So by way of opening remarks, I'd like my panelists to take about 2-3 minutes each and bring their own brand experiences to Scott Brinker's definition of MarTech. What does MarTech really come down to for you from the vantage point of the brand, portal, platform, category that you represent? So distill it down to the essence. Now, I'll just give a few prompters. For some of you, it may be more about speed and streamlining the marketing process through automation. For others, it may be about personalizing the customer journey or hyper-personalizing it. And as our host mentioned, evading this generic spam territory and really focusing on the segment of one. For others, it may be more intensely focused on the mobile and app ecosystem, because I can see a lot of my panelists here have a very strong app and mobile play. So I look forward to hearing that perspective as well. For others, it may be about analyzing data. Data can be of two kinds: user behavior data and also data around campaign feedback. So there's a lot to it. The list is really endless. It can be about social, search, SEO, CRM. It may even be just about freeing up time and space for the marketing team so that you standardize frequently asked questions, and the marketing team then just has more time to focus on creative work. Now, panelists, you may just turn around and say, "Hey, Ashwini, it's all of the above." Sure, it is all of the above, but what I'm looking for from you are idiosyncratic answers that really reflect the vantage point that you have and the category that you represent. So on that note, tell us what your stack of MarTech tools really comes down to. We can start at that end. Charu?
Thanks, Ashwini. I would definitely want to quote an example. I think that would be more relevant to the point what she's trying to put up. We recently had a campaign at Car Dekho, and we really wanted to measure very accurately the data and the kind of connects we are building with the media as well as the consumers we were trying to reach. So the best example for automation and using MarTech in that position was we really built up really in-house a best of the automation tools that really helped us real-time tracking of the media planning that we did and the kind of attraction we were getting on the website and the apps that we were promoting on. So I think that evolution really helped us fine-tune our entire media planning throughout the campaign and gave us benefited a growth of over 35% on business. Because that evolution actually helped us to bring it up from a very next level, which we never used to do, because planning is always done very advanced, right? But how you can fine-tune that with your campaign ongoing and with the data that you're receiving from each and every campaign that you're running, I think that was the biggest evolution we have seen in the history. So I would put up that point as an example that really helped us. Thank you.
This was Car Dekho, but
Yes.
under your remit, you also have Rupee, Zig Wheels, Insurance Dekho, and Bike Dekho, right? So over the course of the discussion, feel free to give examples from those brands as well.
Sure.
Great, thank you, Charu. Sumesh?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I think MarTech and evolution, Lucky very nicely have set the context. I would just add to what he has said. I agree with most of the points that he has said. And with the digital evolution that is happening now, I would not say it's only marketing that needs to be looked at, or MarTech should only be looked for marketing as a function. And like you said, I believe in building digital business. If you want to build a digital business, or if you want to build any sort of business in today's time, you need to use that technology and you need to evolve as per the consumer needs. May it be consumer acquisition, may it be any kind of service that you give to the same customer who you have acquired, or may it be retention. And thankfully, not the right thing to say, but thankfully COVID has kind of accelerated everything that we wanted to do from last 3 to 4 years, that today consumer expectation also is that we need everything to be technology driven. A consumer, if I give example of insurance, 4 years back probably a consumer was okay to kind of go to an agent and buy an insurance. He was okay to kind of call an agent even at the time of claim. Today consumer wants everything on a click of a button. May it be buying a policy, may it be servicing, which could be endorsement, any kind of change in the policy, any kind of addition in the policy, any kind of member addition in the policy, or when we talk about retention. And retention is the use case, one of the most important use cases for an industry like us, where marketing or technology comes and plays a very important role. There are certain challenges, easier said than done, and during the course of time probably we'll talk about those challenges as well. But I think the most important point that I would want to say that we need to make things, or we need to think of things which are relevant from a evolving consumer perspective. Till the time we are doing that, any kind of business that we are building, I think we'll be able to do the justice.
Yeah, thanks. We'll come back to the challenges. Amit, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I want to bring a little bit different perspective to the discussion, because a lot of discussion has happened about e-commerce and transaction platforms and payments. I belong to a business which is very different. It's a classifieds business, real estate classified business. It's called 99acres.com. Essentially, if you think about it for a brief moment, classifieds are marketing platform in itself. So we are a marketing platform for agents and developers to market their properties. So everything that we do is actually part and parcel of MarTech. So I have been with the organization for 12 years almost, and over the years, what I've realized is whatever we are trying to do in classifieds is nothing else but we are trying to duplicate what CleverTap is doing, what Google is doing, what other marketing platforms are doing. So it's actually quite fascinating to see how different industries are facing these challenges, like what Lucky mentioned, what Charu mentioned. I think I can relate to all of those things. It's actually quite fascinating. At the end of the day, everything that the product management does in a classified segment is nothing else but MarTech, trying to understand the consumers better, and what are the, not only just understanding the consumers better for our own good, but how can we create products which can help our clients better, brokers deliver better on their marketing campaigns, how can we create products that can help developers deliver better on their campaigns. I think that's one interesting perspective that I thought I'll probably bring to the table.
So you're saying there's a B2B element and a B2C element on
Both,
99acres,
yes.
and the MarTech challenges change depending
Yes.
on what you're talking about. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay, Loki, please go next.
Right, thank you again, everyone. So I think, from the industry that I come, all of these things actually create a lot of impact. MarTech in travel can be the only sole survivor for a brand to not just survive but thrive as well, right? So if I talk about Ease My Trip now, the most fascinating thing which I liked about them is their user retention rate, right? I mean, for a brand which was, I would not call them a late entrant, but who entered at a time when they were like market leaders, doing really, really good, and you were left with very little to, do in a market which is like, absolutely commoditized. You have very little to, distinguish yourself with. And during that time, if you start focusing on your user journeys and your user behavior, what are they, typically looking for? Why are they coming to your platform when there are better platforms available? Price parity is more or less the same, right, when it comes to flights and hotels when you talk about. So what is that different thing, which you are able to extract from that piece of information, right? And that's where I think MarTech plays a very, very critical role. And that's one piece I think, I personally liked about Ease My Trip is, they knew that, getting into all the different set of travel verticals may be difficult for them to, conquer at one point in time. So it is better, to focus on flights first and then, move into hotels and all. And that actually helped us have more than, 75% of repeat rate. So users are coming back onto Ease My Trip. And over a period of time, how it helps in a big way is that, it starts giving you a higher lifetime value of that user, right? So when that user is coming back, gradually you are seeing a value in return from that user instead of a typical, startup ecosystem where, you are largely focused on acquiring users at an X price. So in a business like travel, just for those who don't know, the margins are also extremely thin, right? And therefore, the importance of repeat usage becomes extremely important. In the further discussion on multiple questions, I'll talk about a little bit more in detail, how we do that. But just to give you a gist, for us, each user becomes extremely important from the time they're acquired. And if you look at it from the standpoint of our, per user acquisition cost in a volume, it has dropped down to under 10% of what it used to be like around 5-6 years ago. So, I mean, combined of all of those things that we are doing, I think in travel, MarTech actually is extremely, extremely important.
So, Loki, for a late entrant to an established category, would you say it was MarTech that really moved the needle, or your big splash, high decibel advertising campaigns?
See, this category we are talking about is an evolved user category, right? People flying with, flights and all do not really get fascinated with ads, right? At the end of the day, you're not giving them a business class experience if they're booking through you. You're still getting that economy class, whether you're booking from any other platform or us. It is only about, whether a user is dropping after a search result page, or if a user is dropping off on a cart page or a payment page. If those things are captured and are addressed, in the product revamp journey, and, constantly when we are exploring, where is the drop rate increasing more, by making few tweaks and changes on certain levels, like, if I'll give you an example, the way your typical, payment product review page is designed also creates an impact, right? Where are you showing the price and where are you showing the itinerary? We have done those beta testings, right? And they've really proved great learnings for us.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Fantastic. Vikrant, why don't you tell us how CleverTap is putting the tech back into MarTech and revolutionizing the global MarTech space?
So I'll perhaps, Lucky contextualize it in the beginning, a slide from our website which helps the practitioners here. In one line summary from CleverTap perspective, we are in the 9th year of our evolution. And we've been constantly at it to create world's #1 retention platform. But in that slide, you saw a timeline starting from 80s. Our job is to give, marketing folks are really not techies. Marketing folks want to create those meaningful digital experiences for their end consumers. And our job is to make that tooling so seamless that marketeers can use it. He also told his own organization that how many of you use your own dashboard to understand. That's reality. And hence, our success will be when 80% of the organization across functions uses functionalities like CleverTap, who are not technology folks, who are business folks, analytics folks, marketing folks, sales folks, growth managers. So some of our successful customers, whether you look at Paytm themselves or Jio or Sony Live, you look at anywhere globally, are people where organization at large, a fairly substantial size, is using a technology which was meant for marketeers, and hence simple to use, delivers the outcome. The other piece is this problem of right piece of message to a right person at right time has been a hard problem to solve, and of late tech is not an option. It is become a science and a tech problem, and marketeers need to dumbify this and be able to use this, like he said, which is the most productive campaign that I ever run, okay, which is really working out. How do I repeat, predicting which are the likely set of users who are likely to drop from the app. outsource all such problems to technologies like us. We are constantly at it, and that's our gig to create meaningful experiences for digital brands for their end consumers. And I think the timeline of evolution that you saw on the slide, in billboard days in 80s, there used to be only one poster. That was the only way to tell your end consumers that this is my message. One message, every consumer. Then there was an age of, we used to do mail merge on a database, and a database marketing came, and you had aha moment. You can send to Somesh a different message, and maybe to Ashwini a different message. And till that time, it was not possible. And you could create those segments. And the third was the piece of email marketing. So the number soared, again batch, a set of database, contextualized message, but different individuals. Fast forward, web world is web action, but mobile world changed everything. 2007 changed everything. 2005 was the year when billion people were on internet. And 2007 made those billion people power to demand from the brand that they were looking for rather than the other way around. And fellow practitioners here and more brands started thinking, how are they organized? I think our job is to solve for that constantly. We are on this journey. We are far ahead of others because, and I'll talk about the future that we are trying to create through the discussion. But this is almost like a Tesla moment in automotive and EV. And this is, I think we are at a chapter 2 of this evolution, more to come.
Look forward. Ajitesh, you're a product guy and your app is very interesting. It's a platform that digitizes the health records of people. It's a startup. So yeah, what does MarTech come down to for an app like this?
Right. So I think since we are a startup, we are fairly early in our journey over here. There are two things that we focus a lot on. One is, of course, SEO, which helps us get a ton of traffic for free, search engine optimization, and it's pretty important. But the second part is where we are actually working on very exhaustively and is a very big part of today's theme, which is hyper-personalization and giving the segment of one kind of experience to everyone. And that is, I think, just coming from a healthcare background is extremely important for us. So since we are a medical journaling app where you can save your medical data and create longitudinal records over a span of years and days, I think giving that hyper-personalized experience is more like you don't have an option but to not give it. So for instance, if we have a heart rate monitor app, right, and a person comes to monitor his heart rate today, you see in real time that his heart rate is above 85 or above 90. And you know that the next thing I want to recommend to this person is that, here's a heart health assessment that you should take. Or here is, or if it's basically, something that you need to push a user that, you have to take your heart health every day. You have to check your heart rate every day. So understanding your user to the point that, this person wakes up at 8 a.m. and that's when I need to send him a reminder to check his heart rate and not at 12 p.m. is pretty important. And that will actually vary from one person to another because everyone is different, right? Someone will wake up at 6 a.m., another at 8 a.m., another at 10 a.m. So understanding your user and giving that extremely hyper-personalized experience in health becomes extremely important. One person would go to a doctor, he'll get a prescription for, let's say, diabetes, right? Now you want to customize the entire journey for that user to say that, these are the 5 medicines that you need to have and these are the 3 times that you need to have at. So without these personalizations, I think most of the communications that we'd have in our app or for our users would become irrelevant. And therefore, without personalization, I don't think we'd be able to go ahead at all.
Okay, thank you, Ajitesh. That's fascinating. That's so different from cars and ticketing and property and insurance. That's medical journaling is new. Okay, wonderful. So see, for the panel, we have a hard stop at 9 o'clock, but Charu has a hard stop at 8:15. So I'm going to start with my first question and start at that end so she can answer. Charu, give me an example of a data-driven decision, marketing decision that you took in recent times. Stick to the last 6 months. And tell me which platform it was for and what the insight at play was and how tech was at the center of that data-driven decision.
So basically, we are trying to build a one view kind of CRM that is really helping us unifying all our data across multiple platforms that we have. Not just Car Dekho, it's Insurance Dekho, it's Rupee, and it's Zigwheels. It's so many more that we work upon. So obviously, acquisition is separate, but definitely retention of those and making their seamless journey, I think that is what we are trying to achieve at our own end. And we are trying to simplify their journey and reaching them at the right time and at right point of their interaction. Because if I talk about a car journey, it's not an everyday purchase, right? It's not even a monthly purchase. It's not even a yearly purchase, right? You know that it has a point that you really need to get back to that customer even after multiple years and get their interest if they're planning to sell or buy a new or a used car. So I think that kind of journey is really being built up, and it's really helping us to identify and bucketing those consumers who are upgrading their cars, for example. And this is the right time when there is a job change, or there is a right time he's looking for a finance, right? And we know that this is the right time to tap him for insurance as well. So it's a parallel journeys, but obviously not so seamless as we think, because these are multiple verticals that we interact with a consumer, and we try to make it seamless for them.
So did you deploy this for a cohort or for a geography? I mean, how did this work?
This is completely cohort based. Yeah, depending upon geographies and their own demographics and many factors involved to make that very simplified and a unified, seamless journey for them.
And was this for new cars or used cars? I mean, just give us some more details.
I think the data that we are harping at, it's I would say 14, 15 years of data that we have, right? Because people, we have been doing very good at SEO. We are ranking on all new car model, used car models, and people have been researching on our portals and leaving inquiries for offers or dealer contacts or so many other details where they really want more data enriched from us. And we help them really get the best deal in the market. So I think that data is really helping us from multiple years to touch point at a right time, and obviously not getting into their personalized space, but definitely personalizing them for the right timing, I would say.
Okay, 14, 15 is like archival data, fantastic. Yeah, Somesh, same question to you actually. Give me an example, a recent one of a data-driven decision that you took at HDFC.
We don't do anything which is not data backed. So I can give you examples, so many examples, but anything that we do, starting from any kind of SEO effort, any kind of SEM effort, any kind of campaigns that we do. We call ourselves Digital Business Group because we do not do marketing just for the sake of doing marketing, right? I need to answer to the management for the P&L and the amount of money that I'm spending, right? And so everything and anything that we do is data backed. To give you a recent example, if I were to give, say there are certain geographies which do not make sense for us to source business from. And all of us are aware of the frauds that are happening in the insurance, right? And we do analyze this data on a regular basis in terms of which are the geographies where we are getting these frauds from. And hence our marketing campaigns are then decided whether we want to source or go ahead and pay or do marketing campaigns in those geographies or not. And this is a regular thing that we continue to do. There are so many retention strategies that we decide on which are completely data backed. There are a set of cohort of customers which I know are not profit making, and hence I would probably want to put less effort on those consumers to retain those consumers, versus there are consumers who are really profit making, they are good consumers, and hence I would want to put more efforts there. So anything and everything that we do is absolutely data backed.
So Somesh, geography as an actual region. So I'm just curious, I mean, what are these places where general insurance is not relevant? I mean,
it's not about relevant, but it's about frauds. So in health, if I talk about the region that we are sitting in is absolutely not profit making, because there are so many frauds which hospitals are running. And hence we are very careful when we underwrite risk from any of the regions which are NCR, Delhi. Gujarat is another belt which needs to be looked at when it comes to frauds. So it's not about all the consumers who are bad, and hence we need to put checks and balances in terms of underwriting when we are doing, and we are underwriting the risk, whether the risk is good or not. Likewise, in vehicles as well, you would not believe there are vehicles where accident has not happened, but they would change the number plate and they would want to claim it. And hence you need to keep in mind when you're doing these kind of, and this also we have tried solving through technology. There are ways and means where through machine learning we're able to figure out whether the vehicle which was being sourced or which came to us to underwrite the risk at the time of the claim, whether it's the same vehicle or not. So there are so many things that can be done, but in nutshell, all I'm saying is that there is nothing that we do which is not data backed. Anything and everything that we do is data backed.
Sure. We don't have to go in order. Ajitesh, yeah, a hardcore tech-driven marketing decision.
Sure. So I think what I think even Lucky mentioned some time back was that every business these days has at least 3 to 4 different products that they sell. The limitation being that when you have an app that is there on Play Store, and we are basically app first, you have a limitation that you can only speak about a certain product in depth. So for instance, if it's Paytm, the app name will not have, let's say, you can also book a flight on Paytm. Similarly, if it's our app, which is Eka Care, which is primarily, let's say, in COVID services or towards health assessment. So you won't basically be able to highlight your other products. Now, once a user basically actually downloads the app, let's say he's seeing a advertising campaign on Google or on Facebook, what we realized was that if he's seeing a particular ad of one product and then he downloads the app, his conversion throughout the funnel used to be extremely low, because he used to get the standard onboarding experience that, you can download your COVID certificate, you can create a health ID, you can manage your health records. But the ad he saw on Facebook was for measuring a heart rate, which got introduced to him very late in the funnel. So what we eventually went on to do was that we eventually customized and personalized the entire experience, right from showing the ad to the Play Store listing we landed him on. So in Play Store itself, you can create multiple custom listings, up to 50 or 100. So right from showing the ad to landing him to the custom listing page, to post the onboarding flow, the screens that we used to show, they would again become relevant to the ad. And then post, he used to sign up, then of course the def or deep links come into picture and lands on the exact same landing page. So what we realized was that we actually, the amount of money we were initially spending to actually get the user to try out that product and that service, that dropped by at least 30 to 40% just by personalizing this entire journey, right from showing the ad to the Play Store listing to showing the correct order in the onboarding flow and then landing him on the correct def or deep link. And these are a lot of things that people would generally ignore, because especially when you're in the early phases that you need to do a ton of things, but a lot of these small things can actually add a lot of value to these customers. So that's one of the things we worked on in a lot of depth and solved for.
Oh, wonderful example. Thank you. Coven is in the government app that became a reality for all of us in the last 24 months.
So actually that's something that helped us quite a bit. Like Coven, sadly the number of cases rose quite a bit last year, but the demand for Coven services increased quite a bit. And since we've been working very closely with the government on both government service, COVID-related services, downloading vaccination services, vaccination certificate, booking a vaccination slot, as well as the other part where government is working on National Digital Health Mission, so creating a health ID and related services. So the nature of it, our app was positioned in that way because that was where the demand was from market. You would have at least 4 to 5 lakh people downloading their COVID certificates with us every day. So by the nature of it, our brand positioning became as such that, this is an app where we have to go to get our COVID certificate. And therefore, selling any other product in that became even more difficult, because the perceived notion is that we have to come here for downloading a COVID certificate, or this is a government-backed app which will just help you get the certificate. So therefore, all these decisions, I think, became very important for us very early on.
Great example. There's the Arogya Setu app also. Well, yeah. course. Amit, Loki, in that order, please. I'm looking forward to your examples.
I've got an interesting one over here. So I'll give you some context. In real estate, when people are looking for apartments or a place to stay, locality is quite important. So you would want to choose that, listen, I want to stay in Sona Road or Golf Course Road. But from a marketing perspective, when we have to offer marketing services, either we have to do it for ourselves or for our clients, how do I target users with respect to specific localities? So I would like to target a user looking for a place in Golf Course Extension Road with the relevant content. Now you would say that, listen, this is not a very big deal, and I think, I'm sure people in the MarTech industry would have done these kind of campaigns even before. But what was interesting this time around, in the last 6 months we did this digital branding campaign, was to not only execute the campaign, but also to start measuring the effectiveness of the campaign almost on real-time basis. What it means is that every day you would want to choose, listen, what kind of marketing is able to get you the users back, and then decide how do you want to spend the rest of the money. So the interesting part was not to execute the campaign. I think we have done these campaigns in the past as well, but we never really knew what's really going on. The aggregate data used to come that, listen, okay, we had spent X crore rupees in the digital branding campaign and we got so many visits and visitors and conversions. But now we knew that which locality consumers are really coming back for rentals, for resale, for new projects, for commercial. And that's, I think, the interesting part of the entire campaign was.
Great example. Thank you. Yeah. Loki.
All right. So I'll try and keep it very, very simple. So I personally find travel as a very interesting category. So recently, and it's not been too long that, I have taken this assignment. Without naming the category, recently I was sitting with a category head and we were, debating back and forth on, the new user acquisition cost. And it was not heading to a conclusion after almost an hour or so as well. So I said, he was saying that, you have to keep a 60% of these new users budget separate. I will not consider of the 100 users that we are targeting. You are saying, I will not bill you for more than 35% of new users. Rest you have to bring from the existing state of users. So now, when you talk about an annual budget for a company like Ease My Trip, that 30 and 70 kind of creates a big difference, right? It sometimes might turn you in negative towards the end of the year. So, so he was debating for what he's there for, to show the top line and the revenue numbers. And I was obviously, made to be that watchdog who has to look at the bottom line always. So, we said that let's try and do an experiment, that because, we also have a data from last almost 15 years of, doing business. Why not we try out on our existing base of users who are booking a flight and not booking a hotel after that. So you've realized it's a hotel category I'm talking about. Are not booking a hotel right after booking a flight, at least when they're traveling to the metro destinations. So for example, somebody traveling from Delhi to Mumbai, obviously, and returning like the next day, that also was the criteria, or the same day. Same day obviously would not fall into the hotel requirement, but returning next day is typically a corporate traveler. Why not we immediately give a call to them and ask them if there is a need, and also send them, show them a message on the flight payments page that we have an amazing one, 4-star hotel deal, 5-star hotel deal for you, depending on the cost of the ticket and all of those things. In just a period of 1 week, we realized that of that campaign that we did, we got a conversion of in the range of 6.5%, just the post-booking banner. And on the calls that were made, it was upwards of 20%. That users said, okay, we were also looking for a hotel, but our user, typical user journey is that we will do a flight booking and, towards the end of the day or, just before, like, while we are going for a flight, we will also do a hotel booking as well. So, these are the kind of things which I think, if you keep experimenting, and, this is the example of, I've told about the recent assignment that I'm into, but, there are multiple such things that we've done. all through the experiments that you can do from the existing base of users that you have. You know, that user base is the gold mine, which nobody really, tries to focus in the order that it should be, right? Everyone is targeting and gunning to reduce the, your CAC month on month, quarter on quarter. But if you start focusing on the users who are existing in your database, start targeting them in a way that perhaps could be of their interest, that adds a lot to the overall user experience as well, retention as well in a big way, as well as the lifetime value of the user.
Okay, no, great example, Loki. I do have a follow-up question. Great. So, Loki, I was about to ask you, when you say, you gave them a call the next day, the corporate travelers, did you actually call on their phone? Because that can be quite intrusive, right? I mean, that's my next question. How do you ensure your efforts to hyper-personalize are not intrusive?
Absolutely. So, see, one thing you always need to be very, very careful of is to not sound like a typical sales call, right? At least when the users are transacting on your platform. But at the same time, if you look at it from the standpoint of a user experience, like in the 15 or 20 minutes of you making a call, you receive a call which is typically a thank you call for transacting on the platform and saying thank you very much for booking on Ease My Trip. We are happy to have you and would also like to extend as a courtesy an offer on hotels that we are running. Would you be interested in doing that? Now that sets the context of the call. Instead of it, if you're calling like the next day and saying yesterday you made a call or yesterday you made a booking and today I'm calling you to do a hotel booking, I mean that kind of destroys the whole experience. So we made those calls. However, from a MarTech standpoint, that also is not scalable. What I was trying to convey through this call mechanism is that there is a user interest which lies. And the only thing that we experimented was doing it at the post-booking, post-payment page, which could also be experimented on multiple other places as well. So for example, if a user has already done a flight booking, right, and let's say this is a mobile user I'm talking about, and anyway we have about 85% of the users booking on mobile than on web. So when a flight is booked, you always know that this user's flight is booked, but they have not flown as yet, right? Which means the transaction is not fully completed. Which means that now when this user comes back on the app, you know that this user has a flight which they have to catch, and you can show a message on the strip saying that wonderful 5-star or something like that, exclusive 5-star hotel deal for you, or in those ways you can always test your experiments on multiple places. And I think in my previous organization I worked very, very closely using CleverTap. And that gave us great insight in terms of, the last cookie drop level, So I think that gave us great understanding. And in my own startup, I used a tool called branch.io, which I was fascinated with. The level of clarity it gives you, with respect to the time a user spends on a certain screen and the least time they spend on a certain screen. That also gives you an understanding that why are they not spending time on the screen? Is it something you need to change, right? So, coming back to the point that was discussed, the onboarding journey. We, in our own startup, we made 11 onboarding journey experiments in a span of just 1 year, right? Which is, actually too many, so to say. But all the journeys were because, this was a mental health startup. We wanted to make sure that the users at the time when they're coming on a platform like this, they are not the one who are looking to buy something or consume something immediately, but they're looking to find something that gives them ease from the state of mind they are in. So that journey has to be extremely calculative, and yet we also had to find out at the same time that what this user is coming for, right? So for example, you may have stress for a reason, another user may have stress for a different reason. You cannot give the same homepage to both the users, because what is relevant for one is absolutely out of context for the other one.
It has to be customized.
Yes.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that, I think all of those things combined together,
Yeah.
I am a real big fan of all these tools that really help.
But Ajitesh, how would you respond to that, about my earlier question? How do you make sure you're walking a tightrope? Because with you, it's even more dangerous, it's health and it's personal information about diseases. So how do you make sure your efforts to personalize are in no way intrusive?
To be completely honest, we are still trying to, because there's a very, very thin line, I think, where personalization does become intrusive, and especially as you mentioned, the healthcare space, because so for instance, if someone comes and takes a health assessment around mental health, around depression, there's still certain stigma associated to it, and they don't and won't like to talk about it very openly. And these are things we still face a lot of challenge with. But what we've realized is that a large part of content helps in this quite a bit. And as we know, like content is a very big part of marketing actually. And who you are sending and when you are sending are two pillars. And the third one is equally important, is what you are sending and how you are communicating. So I can say to someone that, you know, you're that I so for instance, if a user has uploaded his prescription and we have mined that prescription to say that, you know, it's time for you to basically order another set of your medicine, or, you know, it's time for you to take that medicine. That does sound a bit intrusive, but if you reposition it to say, you know, that there's a reminder from your doctor, and your doctor is suggesting that, you know, you take the take so and so pill that he has prescribed you, that basically works. So it's a very small tweak, and maybe for a lot of people it won't make a lot of sense, but when we see it on a day-to-day basis, you know, when it comes in the journey, it becomes slightly different in terms of the perspective and how people assess it. That, you know, it's not the app that is telling me, but rather the doctor has sent me a reminder saying that, you know, it's time for you to consume the pill which I had prescribed you yesterday. So I think in that sense, how you communicate your point to the end customer helps to a certain extent in dropping, you know, in making him feel better that we are not actually invading his privacy. And then the other part is also actually reinforcing how secure their data is, and, you know, that even if they are getting some reminders, it's not like someone is personally accessing that data, but it's more of code and algorithms which are running behind to give them reminders which will benefit them. So, for instance, one of the things that we were contemplating to implement was end-to-end encryption. But what we feel is also that, you know, we are not very sure whether India is there yet to understand how important or what exactly would be the implication of end-to-end encryption. So still a journey, but I think for now, a lot of how we communicate to the user plays a big role.
Very interesting. So it actually comes down to copywriting, you know, in your example.
To
That's
quite a big extent.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. So I know, Somesh, Amit, where are you on this question? Because I know it's not as sensitive for property and insurance, but even then, you know, there can be a creepiness alert when you receive something that's bang on accurate. It's personalized, hyper-personalized, but it's also intrusive.
So, I think at an industry level or every category, there is this, we don't know whether what is intrusive, and every consumer will have a different definition of that. Nobody can say they've been able to kind of crack it. The only thing that I can say, giving an example of our organization of what we do, there are certain product categories where we feel consumer can figure out on their own, and we don't really need to kind of go after consumer and explain anything to the consumer. For example, two-wheeler and travel insurance. We do not call or do any kind of communication where we are forcing consumer who came on our platform to buy. It will be very specific nudges. We use tools which ensure that we are doing it at the right time. We do some sort of machine learning through that tool as well, which helps us understand which is the time when a consumer of travel insurance from this city would like to read a message, and hence then we replicate those kind of learnings across. While there are certain product categories like health insurance and car, where the products are a bit complex and hence consumer requires some sort of assistance, that is where we go and assist consumers. That also is done in a manner where we don't kind of bother the consumer. We have our own set of learnings in last 6 to 7 years where we have realized what are the number of attempts that we need to make, what is the kind of stage that a consumer is, whether he or she is interested, not interested, and hence the kind of disposition that we need to do. And that's something that we do. And this is one of the reasons that we have complete assistance and call center sitting within the organization, and we've not outsourced it, because that's the only touch point where we are going. They represent HDFC, Ergo, and speak with the consumer. So there are ways and means of doing or ensuring that we are not becoming intrusive. And usage of these tools definitely help us in ensuring that we don't do that.
But why this kind of fine-tuning for two-wheelers specifically? I mean, is that more sensitive than other subcategories?
So these are small ticket size products. At same point in time, these are very simple products to buy. Two-wheeler, year on year when you buy, the products available in market are absolutely same. These are regulated products. While on health insurance as a category, one, penetration is very low. There are very complex products or terminologies which people don't understand. They don't buy year on year. You'll buy a health insurance once and then probably you'll renew it for 15 years. So you're not buying it year on year. So the product category is very low involvement. And hence products like travel insurance, you keep traveling these days. And hence you come and you know that I need to fill in these 4 details, I will buy and I will just go on. So there are certain product categories I'm saying where you can decide your strategy based on the product category. There are certain product categories where you need to kind of give communication and help and assist consumers, and that is moreover health and car is what I'm saying.
So it's need and frequency based. Got it. Fine. Amit, where are you on this?
No, I have a few thoughts of my own.
Sure.
Basically, I think that, fundamentally, personalized marketing it works. There is a reason why it works, because the consumer has a need. Now, where does the line get drawn between the personalized marketing becoming bloody intrusive? So it's important to understand that everybody loves personalized marketing, everybody. What they don't love is that when I say no, the brands do not honor that. So it's important to understand that whenever you're doing personalized marketing, develop an infrastructure to respect the privacy settings of the user. I have bought a flat already. I was looking for a flat. Stop sending me notifications that there is a 3 BHK available. I was looking for a rent. I'm done. Stop it. So it's important to understand that whenever you're doing personalized marketing, develop an infrastructure to respect the privacy. It's not only just yes and no, but I am okay receiving emailers, but I'm not okay receiving notifications. Those kind of fundamental product level interventions needs to be developed when you are thinking marketing campaigns. That's something that I wanted to add.
Absolutely. Somebody was talking about a consent management platform before the pandemic. It was you, right? So this sounds a lot like that. A consent management. If the user says no, you respect that. Yeah.
So basically that's with health records. And health records, so basically government is coming up with a health ID, something similar to UPI ID, where all your medical records will be linked to the particular health ID. And what we'll be building on top of that is a consent management system where you have total control over your health records, who you want to share it with, and for how long you want to share it with. So for instance, if till now I'm going to Fortis Hospital and all my medical records generated by Fortis Hospital are available with a particular health ID and they are stored in a particular app. Now tomorrow, for some reason, I'm, let's say, moving out of Delhi, I'm going to Bangalore and my hospital changes to Manipal Hospital. Now Manipal Hospital will have the flexibility to request a medical record from me against this particular health ID, and I will have that consent to say that this particular health ID can be accessed by you for X days, and this particular health record cannot be accessed by you.
Okay. Yeah, Vikrant, you want to make a point?
Yeah, so as a provider of such technology to make marketeers take data-driven decisions, our role is a little more profound. We are reaching today 3 billion devices. On CleverTap platform, people are doing close to about 1 trillion user actions per month, which means our customers' users are driving about 1 trillion user actions per month. Our infrastructure is sending about 200 billion messages per month. And when you do cross-category, our platform is learning whether it's Jio's digital ecosystem or, for example, Paytm's entire ecosystem. Paytm is a super app. Paytm is really not a payment app alone. Or whether it's ride-hailing Gojek or a travel discovery Exigo or a ClearTrip, our platform is knowing what users are doing on their respective brand. So what we are able to kind of serve back as a learning back and value back to our customers is it is what is meaningful, delightful digital experience is actually in online mobile specific world, people do three things: discover, decide, and transact. Discover, decide, and transact. Each of these discovery, selection, touch point is actually a data point for us. It's a data point. You're buying a shirt, brand, color, size, slim, fit. Everything is a data point. You're a dating site, your swiping is a data point, your match is another data point. So similarly, you're discovering, you're deciding, and then you're transacting. It's availability and affordability of those data points and in first party manner. This whole consent conversation, first party. If just because my credit card company knows where I spent what, cannot be told to the restaurant to call me back that 3 times you have actually swiped. So that's like first party data, my own user preference data. But our platform is able to give capability to actually do behavioral segmentation, and what our customers are able to then do is not do static segmentation, location. So you have 3 kinds of data today. One is my own data as user, my profile. Second is a business data, insurance company to Car Dekho kind of a company to travel company. There is a business data of their own business catalogs which a user is searching. The third is an action data, what you're doing on that catalog. Actually, it's about knowing the third, which drives selection on the second and makes the preference of the first user. And that becomes golden and golden. If I know more, I can do more. So from our perspective, it's that capability of brands to know more about their consumers, for that brand to then be consuming their business services or a business catalog that much more effectively, and we become growth platform for these brands then. We are causing growth and getting share of that growth. So we no more become a tech platform, we become a growth platform for digital brands to and continue to take a data-driven decisions.
Absolutely. Your tech is intuitive, not intrusive. Right. For my conclusion, I want to toss a question back to my panel. Answer in one word, because we're standing between kebabs and cocktails now, so just one word. The future of MarTech is dash. It can be an adjective, a trend, a tool, anything. We'll start with Sumesh.
Future of MarTech is how well you evolve along with the consumer.
So one word.
Evolution.
Intrusive.
Oops.
Just starting.
It's just?
Starting.
Just starting. Okay. Vikrant.
It's a purpose-built database.
Okay.
That's what CleverTap is. And those of you who are really interested on this topic, the slide that Lucky showed, there's a full YouTube video of bringing tech to MarTech. Search on CleverTap, bringing tech to MarTech on future. And the future is quite like Tesla. Tesla had to create a future by creating batteries, not cars. So if somebody is needing to create a future like us, we are wanting to solve for retention, we can't solve for engagement tools. We got to solve for the future of data. And that's a purpose-built database that we have written. We just launched it.
Okay. Okay. I'll grant you 3 words.
I wanted to answer to your question of, bringing creativity with, follow-ups on the user or notifications that we do. I think that is one reason why I'm saying it is starting, is because I still see Amul and Fevicol doing tremendously well when it comes to creativity every time they do it. That's something which online brands are not able to do, right? I mean, I know that they're going to be either selling me something or sending me some Zomato emails, again talking about, ordering food or something. So I think that piece is still needed, how we can marry that creativity that these, offline brands kind of do phenomenally well, the 2 brands I spoke of. How this can be done by any of the online brand would be my brand of choice, if somebody can do that.
That way, starting is the right choice, but it's actually a practitioner in the marketing office who needs to do this so well, my status on one of the brands changed. I became silver to gold. The whole screen splashed. I never asked for it. But the whole screen splashed. And there was an offer saying that, hey, you booked for dinner by so-and-so is your voucher. I can never experience that. I didn't go to the app. The whole screen splashed when my status changed from silver to gold. Now that's somebody else's creativity that I'm still remembering that as change of status. Okay.
Okay. Ajitesh, the future of marketing is dash.
Non-intrusive hyper-personalization.
Oh, okay. So much for Amit's answer. Yeah, okay.
It depends what length of future are we talking about.
Next
The
12
short
years.
future or a few years?
12 years. Sorry, 12 months, 1 year. Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, I
1
would
year.
like to stick to my
Your answer?
being intrusive, yes.
You're sticking to your story.
Yeah, I think that 12 months is a very short period in terms of what is about to come. I mean, we've talked a lot about, a lot needs to change at an infra level, not just by the brands themselves, but also by the telecom providers, by the infrastructure providers, and by the governance. Only then, I mean, brands cannot choose to be playing a good cop. They need to be forced to play the good cop. And in the next 12 months, I don't see that happening. So, that's my point.
No, that's well summed up. Fantastic discussion. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.